The walls of the Cytherian Senate chamber pulsed a soft cyan, a heartbeat away from collapse. Holographic displays flickered as atmospheric integrity dropped. Fires raged outside the dome. From orbit, the skies of Zithra Prime shimmered with incoming debris, charred remnants of the defense fleet. Senator Calyx leaned forward on trembling limbs. His throat sac inflated slightly with anxiety. "Is the beacon ready?" A younger technician nodded without looking up. "It's calibrated, sir. We're routing through quantum relays, targeting the Galactic Federation nexus." Calyx's gills flexed with restrained desperation. "Do it." A tremor ran through the floor. The chamber lights dimmed. Somewhere above, the western tower collapsed in a cloud of dust and flame. A faint scream echoed before static took over the comms. The beacon launched. Light years away, buried inside a titanium bunker orbiting Mars, an encrypted alert chirped across Earth's long-decommissioned deep contact relay. It was a frequency not touched in decades, a protocol considered obsolete, if not forbidden. Fleet Admiral Alara Miles sat alone in the observation deck of Black Site Vega. The stars, always indifferent, blinked at her through reinforced crystal. A voice broke through her quiet. "Ma'am," said Lieutenant Harrow, appearing in the doorway, breath tight. "Something's hit the echo-tier systems. Looks like a distress signal. Alien code. Fragmented, but real." Alara didn't move. "Coordinates?" "Sector Theta 91. Deep fringe. Cytherian signature." Her eyes narrowed. "That's not Council space." "No, ma'am. And the Council's already flagged it non-intervention." She turned. "Then why are you in my doorway, Lieutenant?" He hesitated, then offered the data slate. "Because it pinged us. Specifically. Earth." She took the slate. Her fingers moved in silence. Lines of alien script, frantic, raw, crackled across the screen. The signal was meant for peacekeepers. What it got instead was Earth's shadow fleet. A memory surged, screams on a scorched colony, Council drones hovering over the ashes, observing but never aiding. Earth wasn't always this brutal. But the galaxy didn't want Earth's help, they wanted Earth contained. Feared. Yet someone had called them. Alara stood, straightened her coat, and walked to the central console. Her voice rang sharp. "Get me fleet command. Priority override, black flag directive. We're going dark." Harrow blinked. "Ma'am, black flag? That's full force deployment. There'll be inquiries. Let them come. Tell the wolves we heard the sheep cry." In a war-torn orbital citadel above Zithra Prime, General Kashar of the Vral Dominion stood on his observation deck, tail flicking in smug rhythm. He watched the beacon launch with amusement. How desperate they must be, he chuckled, baring rows of serrated teeth. Sending signals to ghosts. A Vral commander approached. "They tried to contact the Federation." "I know," Kashar said, tapping the side of his skull implant. "But quantum noise redirected it." "To where?" Kashar shrugged. "Somewhere obsolete. Irrelevant. Likely dead." He turned to the viewport, watching another city burst into flames. "Let them scream. No one's coming." In the void between stars, Earth's Deathworlder fleet emerged from cloaked warp. Ships shaped like predators in motion, silent, jagged, blacker than space, shifted into formation. Dozens of cruisers, carriers, and one Leviathan-class dreadnought, the Revenant, began silent drift toward Theta 91. On the bridge of Revenant, Alara stood in full command. Her armor, minimalistic yet terrifying in design, shimmered with carbon nanoweave. No gold, no flare. Just purpose. A projection flared to life. "Admiral Hensley from Earth HQ. You're launching without authorization." "I'm launching under Earth Directive 9, Alara replied, voice like steel on glass. Deathworlder fleet mobilization under confirmed civilian genocide and Council neglect." "The Council isn't my commander." Earth protects who the Council won't. Hensley frowned. You realize what they'll say? That humanity is back. Good. In a dim shelter beneath a crumbling temple on Zithra Prime, a child huddled beneath the rubble with his caretaker. Outside, Vral shock troops stalked through the ruins, executing survivors. The caretaker muttered a forgotten hymn, voice shaking. Then, the night turned silver. The skies cracked open. A rip in spacetime tore through the heavens, silent at first, then thunderous. One by one, black stars emerged. Alien eyes looked up in awe and terror. Ships unlike anything they'd seen. No banners. No declarations. Just presence. One of the Zytherian soldiers screamed. That's not the Council, that's them. Over intercepted comms, one word echoed in a dozen languages. Earth. Kashar watched his sensors flare red. Dozens of foreign vessels. Mass displacement. No IFF signal. He growled. Who dares? Then he saw it. The ship. Revenant. Known only in whispers. No, he murmured. They answered. A comm opened before he could close it. Alara's face appeared, calm, emotionless. This is Commander Alara Miles. You sent a signal. You asked for help. You got Earth. Then she cut the signal. Back on Revenant, Alara stood in silence. Begin tactical scans, she ordered. Civilian zones protected. Military targets, removed. Yes, ma'am. And Lieutenant? Yes? Make sure they know what's coming. He nodded, pale. They will. In a dark corner of the universe, the wrong planet had been contacted. But for the dying and desperate, maybe it was the right mistake. And now, Deathworlders were coming. Not to negotiate. Not to warn. To end the war. Zithra Prime was dying. Skies once pale and serene now choked on ash. The Vral Dominion struck without mercy, dropping firestorms on temples, slicing through resistance with plasma blades. In the central plaza, statues of ancient peacekeepers lay broken. Flames danced across the capital's spires, and the planet's air shimmered with radiation. Inside the city's shattered command bunker, Senator Calyx held a child in his arms, shielding her from the smoke curling through the vents. They're gone, a soldier whispered beside him. Our fleet. Our friends. All burned. Calyx didn't respond. He'd seen it too, Vral warships slicing through their defense satellites like they were made of paper. He was still gripping the fading hope that someone heard their signal. Then the sky changed. The fires outside dimmed, eclipsed by something colossal. Above the atmosphere, the Revenant arrived first, dragging the night behind it. The ship's hull wasn't built, it had grown, layer by brutal layer, in Earth's orbital shipyards. Sensors failed to get a read. Its black, asymmetrical plating devoured light, its engines silent even in motion. It moved like a predator circling prey. Following it, the Deathworlder fleet fanned out, flanking positions, precision locked, no wasted movement. No broadcast. No anthem. Just silent formation. Alara stood at the edge of her command deck, eyes scanning the battlefield through AR overlays. Report. Tactical scans complete. Enemy ground forces spread across 7 city zones. Orbital threat minimal. Civilian clusters verified in the Temple Basin and medical towers. Good, she said, nodding. Bring the rods online. Lieutenant Harrow turned, hesitant. Kinetic strikes, ma'am? Urban centers are close. There'll be collateral. Alara's voice stayed calm. Then aim better. 3 minutes later, Zithra's sky cracked. No sound reached the surface at first, only flashes. Lines of silver, like divine punishment, descending from above. Then the ground split open. The first kinetic rod, a solid tungsten spike the size of a bus, dropped from orbit at terminal velocity, punched through a Vral war base, leaving nothing but a glowing crater. No fire. Just silence, then a ripple of force that leveled nearby towers. The second struck their staging ground near the old canal. Dust swallowed the remains. Ilara watched through her visor feed, unblinking. Kashar jolted upright in his command chamber. The view screens showed the carnage in real time, 2 of his regiments erased in seconds. "What was that?" he barked. A technician turned, pale. No energy signature. No blast wave. Just impact. From space. Projectiles? Metal. Unguided. Just dropped. Kashar bared his fangs. "Who does that?" The answer echoed back from a terrified officer: "Humans." While the upper atmosphere raged, the real monsters began their descent. Earth's drop units hit the surface like bullets. Not bulky drop pods, just armored figures, wrapped in kinetic deflection suits, plummeting feet first from orbit. No parachutes. No thrusters. Just timing. One after another, Deathworlder soldiers landed in city squares, streets, and ruined corridors. They rose from craters. Each a walking fortress. Helmet visors reflected flame. Their gauntlets pulsed with internal charge. Every movement calculated, controlled. Their weapons weren't alien, just brutally simple: rifles, blades, and personal railguns engineered to punch through starship hulls. But it wasn't the weapons that terrified the Vral. It was the silence. No war cries. No orders shouted. Just precise execution. In the ruins of Sector 9, a squad of Vral patrolled a school building, converted into a barracks. One of them glanced toward the sky, then froze. A human stood there. Alone. Half-shrouded in dust. Holding no visible weapon. The Vral raised their arms, hesitated. The human didn't move. "Identify yourself," one barked. The human stepped forward. He didn't speak. The Vral opened fire. The bullets never hit. A shimmering shield flared to life just as the soldier leapt, closing 20 meters in a second. A short blade flashed once. And then none of the Vral were standing. Back aboard the Revenant, Ilara received status updates. Zone 3 secure. Minimal resistance. Evac units extracting civilians from the medical district. Enemy flagship is powering sublight thrusters. She leaned forward. "Target engines. Don't destroy the ship. I want him alive long enough to watch." Kashar stared at the wreckage on his monitors. He'd prepared for a council delay. A weak counterattack. Maybe an evacuation. Not this. Not them. They weren't fighting for politics. They weren't here to negotiate. They were cleaning up. "They'll flatten the entire sector," he said, to no one. "Just to erase me." He stumbled back from the display. "We need reinforcements. Now. Activate the reserve fleet." A commander shook his head. "They won't make it in time." Kashar's claws dug into the console. "Then send a message. Tell the Council Earth's unleashed its monsters again." Below, among broken towers and burning statues, a small group of Cytherian civilians stared up at the massive figure who stood guard near a shattered transit hub. The human soldier's armor bore no insignia. Just black plates and glowing seams. A child stepped forward. "Are you here to help?" The soldier knelt. A faint hiss escaped the helmet as it retracted, revealing a woman's scarred face. She smiled faintly. "We're late," she said. "But yes. We're here now." Inside the Revenant, Ilara watched a live feed of Kashar's remaining forces retreating into bunkers. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered. "Full sterilization?" "No. That comes later. For now, let them know what it means when Earth answers a distress call." She turned her gaze back to the viewport. "You cry into the void long enough," she murmured, "and eventually, something hears you. Just be sure it's not us." For the first time in decades, a Deathworlder fleet made planetfall. And the galaxy remembered what Earth meant when it moved. Not diplomacy. Not mercy. Just fire. The Vral Warmoon Dragon's crown drifted above the scorched remains of Sector 7, its core reactors pulsing with unstable energy. Inside, Overlord Kashar paced along the command platform, claws tapping against steel. The silence among his officers was not obedience, it was fear. A full third of his fleet had been turned to slag. His orbital defenses, once thought impenetrable, had failed to detect even a single Earth vessel before it struck. His empire was bleeding. Fast. A trembling lieutenant approached. Overlord, our scouts confirm the humans have encircled the crown. They're not firing. They're waiting. Kashar's jaw clenched. For what? No one answered. On the bridge of the Revenant, Commander Alara Miles stood alone, reviewing schematics of the enemy Warmoon. Its outer shell was reinforced with neutronium plating. Thick. Outdated. Strong against traditional weaponry, but slow to maneuver. It was a relic built to intimidate lesser species. Earth wasn't lesser. Lieutenant Harrow's voice echoed over the intercom. The crown is within range. Do we initiate breach? Not yet, Alara said. They still think they can win. I want Kashar to understand before he dies. She stepped off the platform and made her way toward the drop bay, her armor clicking softly with each step. Dragon's crown hummed with war protocols, its decks flooded with power rerouted from non-essential systems. Kashar activated the defensive grid manually, watching crimson nodes light up on a circular hologram. I want rail cannons hot. Atmospheric mines deployed. All hands to stations. A voice buzzed in his comm, they're not responding, Overlord. Kashar snapped. Then forced their hand. He issued the final order. Fire on the surface. The crown's side batteries twisted downward and unleashed fury, columns of plasma raining upon what was once Zithra's last hospital dome. No resistance remained. Just ash, rubble, and fading breath. Alara watched the attack from orbit. She didn't flinch. Send it, she ordered. A small, sleek ship detached from the Revenant's underbelly. No lights. No heat signature. Just gravity anchors and a silent engine signature. It latched onto the underside of Dragon's crown like a leech. Inside the pod were two Deathworlder operatives, ghosts, trained for silent kills and planetary sieges. Their suits mimicked the heat profile of Vral soldiers. One placed a fist-sized charge on a maintenance hatch and whispered. Entry in 30. Kashar's war room darkened suddenly. Half the lights blinked out. What now? He snarled. His chief technician paled. We've been breached. Internal systems, failing. We're blind on decks 11 through 17. Seal the core. It's too late. Kashar's blood chilled. The blast tore through 3 levels of the crown. Controlled, clean. The humans didn't want to destroy the moon, they wanted inside. Alara stepped through the breach 30 minutes later, flanked by her team. The corridors were silent, lights flickering, gravity flickering between levels. Her boots hit the deck like judgment. Kashar waited in his central chamber. He hadn't fled. Pride, or madness, kept him there. The blast door opened, revealing the human he'd only seen on intercepted feeds. You, he hissed. You're behind this. Alara didn't draw her weapon. She stepped forward, unarmored hands clasped behind her back. You started it, she said. You're murderers. No, she replied calmly. We're the ending. He lunged. Fast, brutal, reckless. But his claws met nothing. Alara had stepped aside, almost bored. You killed my generals. You slaughtered my battalions. You built an empire on fear, she interrupted. But the mistake you made was thinking we fear you. Kashar sank to one knee, gasping. Not from injury, but from the overload. His entire moon's life support had been rerouted. Every room, every oxygen line, rewired the moment Earth's agents got in. You were given a choice, Elara said softly. You could have left Zithra. You could have ignored their plea. But you made it a show. Burned their cities. Executed children. For what? A warning to others? Kashar snarled. To remind them of strength. Elara shook her head. Then let this be a reminder of ours. She tapped her comm. On cue, the Revenant's secondary vessel deployed the Sunspike. Not a bomb. A spear of concentrated stellar plasma, encased in quantum-locked magnetic fields. Designed not to explode, but to burn from the inside. It struck Dragon's crown dead center. For 6 seconds, the war moon glowed. Then it crumpled. The blast didn't scatter debris, it consumed it. Like the wrath of a dying sun focused on a single center. In the aftermath, silence returned. On the planet, Cytherian survivors stepped cautiously into open air, watching as the crown collapsed in the sky. Children pointed. Elders wept. No words came, only the knowledge that they'd been spared. And who had spared them? Later, in Earth's distant chambers, the Galactic Council met in whispered panic. Earth intervened. They deployed unapproved force. They broke accords. A single ambassador from a minor species stood and said what the others feared to admit. They responded to a plea we ignored. The chamber fell silent. Back aboard the Revenant, Elara sat in her quarters, the lights dim. Lieutenant Harrow stepped in, a data pad in hand. Final casualty report. She waved it away. I don't need numbers. He hesitated. The galaxy won't forget this. They never did, she murmured. They just hoped we'd stay quiet. He turned to go, then stopped. You think they'll call us again? Elara looked out the window at the stars. They will. And next time, they'll make sure it's us who hears them. And somewhere deep in the galaxy, where cries go unanswered and peace is cheap, the story spreads. Never call Deathworlders lightly. Because if they come to end it. In the days following the Crown's collapse, the skies over Zithra Prime cleared for the first time in months. Ash still hung in the higher stratosphere, but sunlight pierced through, golden and strange. To the survivors, it felt like a myth unfolding. The Cytherian capital, once flattened, had become a staging ground. Not for war, but for relief. Deathworlder engineers moved through rubble with eerie calm, erecting power grids, water reclamation towers, and shelters in hours. No banners, no demands. Just work. Senator Calyx watched from a ledge overlooking the basin. His voice cracked as he spoke to the human beside him. I thought your people only came to fight. Commander Elara Miles stood with her helmet tucked under one arm. Her face was weathered, sharp eyes darkened by sleepless nights. That's what they told you, she replied. What they wanted you to believe. Calyx gestured at the field below. But this, all of this. You're rebuilding. Elara didn't smile. You asked for help. We came. Help means finishing what you start. Calyx hesitated. Then why the silence? Why hide all these years? She turned toward the horizon. Because the galaxy wasn't ready. Not for us. Not for how we fight. And definitely not for how we remember. Across star systems, the fallout reached ears faster than light. The Vral Dominion was leaderless. Without Kashar, the remaining warlords fractured into infighting. Dozens of planets once gripped by fear suddenly rebelled. Armies fell apart not in combat, but in confusion. Power had never expected Earth to move again. The Galactic Council assembled behind closed doors. Screens showed orbital footage of Earth ships over Zithra, kinetic rods falling, the crown evaporating. Not once had Earth requested permission. Not once had they asked for support. An Eralaxi diplomat whispered, this is what they used to be. Before the sanctions. Before the banishment. Do we respond? Asked another. A Selenite archivist shook her head. Respond to what? They didn't declare war. They ended one. A new silence spread. Earth had re-entered the map. Not by negotiation. By reminder. In a cold hangar aboard the Revenant, Alara stood before her troops. No celebration. No medals. Just orders. You did what was required, she said, voice even. You protected the innocent. You delivered justice without cruelty. And you reminded them. The soldiers stood still, armored statues in formation. Some were barely older than cadets. Others bore scars from campaigns the galaxy never documented. You've seen the aftermath, she continued. The ones we saved. The ones we couldn't. Let them tell the story. We won't need to. Then she turned and left. No applause. No parade. Just the echo of boots behind her. Harrow caught up to her in the corridor. Ma'am. Debrief with Central Command in 20. Alara nodded. Let them wait 10. He hesitated. There's a transmission. From a council representative. She raised an eyebrow. After all this? Yes. It's polite. They're requesting dialogue. Let them squirm a little longer. He smiled faintly. You think they'll rewrite the treaties? They'll rewrite history first. Paint themselves braver than they were. He stopped walking. And us? Alara paused. They'll call us necessary. Then dangerous. Then something to fear again. And you're fine with that? She looked him in the eye. I didn't come here for a reputation. I came because a child cried for help and no one else listened. On Zithara, life slowly returned. Civilians ventured beyond the bunkers. Farmers found soil unburned. Children laughed at strange Terran machines digging aquifers. The Deathworlders were still terrifying, but no longer nightmares. They were real. And real things could be understood. Calyx visited a half-rebuilt library. On its walls, a mural had begun, humans drawn in jagged shapes, like gods carved from broken stone. At the center, a woman in dark armor, standing between flame and a crumbling tower. He smiled. On Earth, the story spread far faster than official broadcasts could contain. A whisper at first. Then a flood. The fleet returned. Zithara was saved. Kashar is gone. Humans, once viewed as a cautionary tale, became a question again, what else are they capable of? Some celebrated. Others warned. Few understood. But all remembered. Back in her quarters, Alara finally sat down. Alone. No helmet. No command structure. Just herself. She stared at a worn photo magnetized to the wall, 3 faces, all gone now. They'd died on a colony no one defended. Burned before she had rank, before Earth had teeth. That mission had broken her. Shaped her. She whispered, more to herself than anyone else, I hope you saw it. A soft tone interrupted. An incoming transmission, encrypted, civilian code. She opened it. The screen filled with the small face of a Zytherian child. The same girl she'd seen rescued from the basin. She held up a crude drawing, 2 figures, one tall in black armor, the other small, smiling. A recorded voice played. Thank you, monster. Alara sat there for a long time. Then she whispered back, you're welcome, little one. In the far reaches of space, beyond Council surveillance and Vral borders, an unknown species received fragments of the Zithara signal. They saw the orbital strikes. The burning moon. The silent soldiers. They marked the coordinates carefully. Then etched one word beside it. Earth. And underneath, in their own tongue. Do not call them lightly. But if you must, pray they answer.